There is a great misconception about that. There has never been any bill about the tenure of Inspector General of Police. I think we didn't do our due diligence. Otherwise, if we do our research very well, you will discover that there is nothing like that. The bill that came up for public hearings are two bills. One, the Police Service Commission Amendment and Repeal, and as well as the National Institute of Police Studies. None of those bills mention the tenure of Inspector General of Police. The Police Service Commission Amendment and Repeal talk about adjusting the power tussle between the Police Service Commission and the police force itself, where over the years, the powers to recruit were vested on the Nigerian police force. And that has always been the tradition. Even the National Assembly budget funds for the recruitment exercise to the Nigerian police force, not to the Police Service Commission. The training colleges of recruit police officers across the Federation belongs to the police force. And all of a sudden there was a legal lacuna between the Police Service Commission and the police force, where the Police Service Commission took the Nigerian police to court and it stopped the recruitment exercise. My concern as a parliament, I'm a trained lawmaker, a peacemaker, maybe a student of security and strategic studies, and I have interest in police reform. I have interest in security reforms. That was why I took all those bills to the National Assembly. Then the problem between the Police Service Commission and the police created a problem to Nigerians. Annually, police are expected to recruit 10,000 constables. But because there is a case in court, the recruitment stopped. And I now said, since there is a legal gap between the Police Service Commission Act as well as the operations of the Nigerian police itself, there is a need for us to clear all the ambiguity in terms of the functions of the police force and that of the Police Service Commission. So the bill came up, and the public hearing was meant to say whose responsibility is to recruit constable. Part of the adjustment in the Police Service Commission has to do with allocating specific responsibility to the Police Service Commission, as well as because of the so many cries of police brutality and abuse of fundamental human rights by the Nigerian police, there was a need, in my own point of view, to expand the representation in the commission so that civil society organizations and other strategic organs within the country should participate in issues of discipline of the Nigerian police, so that the cry of, police brutality without any action by the Police Service Commission, if people have adequate representation in that board, it will be fine. So this is one of the bills. The other one is the National Institute of Police Studies. It's an establishment bill because all over the country, including some African countries, foreign government donates funds as well as training. What is happening with the police and the brutality is as a result of lack of adequate training. Then if you don't have a legislation establishing an institution like National Institute of Police Studies, the foreign support in terms of training and retraining of middle and upper strata in the Nigerian police will never be possible. So these are the two bills. It has nothing to do with the tenure of the Inspector General of Police. When I listened to the news too, I knew there was a communication gap. We didn't study the document very well. The one that talked about the tenure of the Inspector General of Police is the Police Act itself that was signed by Mr. President, where Section 6, subsection 7 mentioned that, which was passed by the National Assembly, that a tenure of 4 years should be given to the Inspector General of Police. And Mr. President have signed that law. What was the rationale behind the National Assembly passing that bill to an extent that Mr. President signed it into law? It's because from 1999 till date, we have 12 Inspector General of Police. You are talking about police reform. Will you appoint someone for the period of 1 year or 1 year, 7 months and expect him to lay a foundation for a consolidated police reform? No. Then the National Assembly said there is a need to create some certain immunity in times of years. It's not about individual. It wasn't about individual. It was about the institution, so that someone will be appointed and he will be given some specific year to be able to consolidate and establish a proper police reform. And as it is, I'm an advocate of that. If you say National Assembly should be elected for 7 months or 1 year, how would you even appropriate money for the country and what have you? So that was the reason. But there wasn't any specific bill that talked about the tenure of Inspector General of Police, no.
Okay, just to add to what you
I think you are qualified. At the risk of sounding immodest, I'm careful when talking to press, but I say what I can defend anywhere. I have a master's in conflict management and peace studies, and I'm doing my last defense in security and strategic study at PhD level. So, and when I was deputy speaker in Plateau State, with the present governor, I chair a committee on peace and security for 4 years. I think that was what that was the recommendation of those committees are the outcome that produced Plateau Peace Agency. In the whole of the 36 states of the Federation, there is no state that have a peace agency except Plateau State. And that was the recommendation of my committee at the state level. And that was the bill I sponsored at the Plateau State level that gave birth to that. So in terms of security, relatively, I think I'm qualified to make some certain statement about security, coupled with the fact that my responsibility as a House Chairman Committee on Navy, I should have come across some certain security issues in the country. But to address your problem straight about security reform, waking up today, hearing this one die, this one attack, that one kill, I think that is a major problem that this country is faced with. And as Parliament, the biggest power that is donated to all Parliament is to make law for peace, order, and good governance. That is what the Constitution says. The oversight function are other things that the Constitution feel afterthought, after the major responsibility of making laws for peace, order, and good governance. Then you have that one of superintending over agencies and ensuring that they have done what is absolutely good for the good of the people of this country. And if that is the power donated to me and to any other parliament, both at the state and at the national level, to make peace, for order, and good governance, security is very important. And you cannot blame, although I'm not saying you've blamed, you cannot tie issue of insecurity to one individual or to a particular strata in the government cycle. It's a collective thing. When you are talking about security, you are talking about both the followers and the people that govern the followers themselves. It's a two-way thing. And in my own thinking, no matter the money, aside of lack of sufficient manpower and equipment to combat issue of insecurity in this country, there is equally aspect of moral perception and moral commitment on both the part of government and the people that put government in place. By the time you say yes, it's one thing for government to appropriate money, appoint responsible people, particularly service chief and what have you, that can be able to face issue of insecurity. And again, Parliament for conducting oversight to ensure those money appropriated to them are used for the purpose of security problem. There is equally that side of the people. What is our conduct towards issue of insecurity? I don't support demoralizing government, because security situation, if you look at this country, you can't trace it to 1 or 2 or 3 past government. It started somewhere, but the major foundation of insecurity is because of lack of good governance. The representative of the people, both the executive and the legislative arm of government, if hither to this moment we have laid a solidified foundation, we have done things that have direct bearing to the common man. Issue of basic social amenities were addressed, education, good hospital, people have access to affordable system of education and what have you. Definitely you will not see the people running on the street that tomorrow turns out to be Boko Haram or other elements in the society that they are not supposed to be. So government in the first instance did not address the primary thing that the people ought to have benefited from, the people that they have hope in them. Government have failed too in the past, whether you like it or not. I will say this without any fear of political misrepresentation, that the foundation was very poor. The issues of the people was not priority of government. If the issue of people, the people we govern, before this time have been the central attraction of any government, I'm telling you that issue of insecurity would not have been to the level it is. Yes, even the advanced country like America that have better education system, better healthcare facility, and what have you, they have problem of insecurity. It's an international phenomenon, but it is not at the level that ours is being witnessed. So until and unless government provide the basic needs of the people, do not hope that the problem of insecurity will be solved in the nearest future. And again, the people themselves too, we must stop to play politics with issue of security and life of the properties of the people of this country. There are people that, because Gagdi is Abga, whatever you do as Gagdi and as a president, it will never be appreciated, no matter the effort. Their target is to antagonize you for political gains. And until and unless there is equally honesty and commitment, support on the part of political office holders and stakeholders, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of religion, and irrespective of political party, do not again hope that issue of insecurity is going to be addressed in the nearest future. Get every information about every individual during confirmation. Because the nurse is not God. You don't have the capacity to know everything about me. So it is what the DSS know that they recommended. And it is equally what the National Assembly saw that they recommended. And if you want to hold DSS and National Assembly responsible, what of you as an individual? Over 180 million Nigerians, you were unable to. The announcement was made, the man was presented to the floor of the Senate, he was screened, and no individual out of over 180 million Nigerians was able to remember that comment made, to write petition to the National Assembly for them to act or not to act. So if National Assembly should be held responsible, or the DSS, the people of this country should equally be held responsible, because they were unable to do their job by bringing the information to the National Assembly. Until and unless you bring the petition that this man have done this and that in the past because of the incapacity of both the DSS and National Assembly to know everything about everybody. If there was an issue prior to the screening and the National Assembly did not act on that information, then you will hold them responsible. But because there was nothing, so you assume the man is innocent. Now the issue have come to public glare. Is it the responsibility of the National Assembly to act based on the information that is given about the minister? It is not the responsibility of the parliament to say remove the minister, or to remove the minister or not to remove the minister. The prerogative of appointment and removal is vested solely on Mr. President. So it is left with for the executive arm of government. The information have come. I learned also that the man have apologized. If it is true that the information is there and the man apologized, it is not within my own power as a parliament to say that go or not go. The president have the red biro or green biro to tell him stop, stay there. This is the end of your time. As far as my cabinet is concerned, he equally have the prerogative of mercy to say you have shown remorse. Everybody could make mistake in the past. Continue, but make sure you don't do that again. So I think these are the things I can say about issue of the minister. On the issue of appointment of the new Inspector General of Police, whether it is in conformity with the provision of Section 6, subsection 7, Section 7, subsection 6 of the Police Act regarding to the tenure of the Inspector General of Police. I have tell you the wisdom behind making sure that you have created a term of office for the Inspector General of Police. Yes, within that act too, no police officer is expected to serve more than 35 years. He have served 33, he have 32 according to your facts, because I am not confirming that also. And if that is so, it is again within the power of Mr. President to extend the service of the Inspector General of Police to serve for the period of 4 years. And it is equally within the prerogative of Mr. President to say, yes, there was a provision for 4 years of time for the Inspector General of Police. And within the same act, there is a section that talk about 35 years of service. So go, let me appoint someone. But in my own opinion, I expect the government to look for someone that can, serve that year so that he have the gap to ensure that reform are met. But again, appointments are made based on recommendation of the institution. Perhaps the person appointed as the Inspector General of Police have the technical know-how to drive police reform to where the federal government desire it to be. We hope that the needful will be done in the subsequent appointment of the Inspector General of Police to give them room to serve in the capacity of stabilizing police reform before anybody could take over from them.
Good morning, sir. My name is...
That there is no propaganda and there is no communication between the press, the government, and the people. Otherwise, if you will give me another 1 hour to technically x-ray to you what Nigeria was prior to the coming of APC and what Nigeria is, I will not exhaustively explain that within 2 hours. And I can do that perfectly. I'm a student of political science. I have a degree in political science, so I'm a practical politician. I should be able to know what this country is all about before the coming of President Muhammadu Buhari. I agree. The APC government may not be a saint, may not be 100% perfect, just like any other government in the world. You have your own deficiencies, you can fail, you can make promises because you are from outside. Yeah, insecurity, elect me. When I come in, I will sort out the issue of insecurity within seconds. But when you come in, if you open page 1 of Nigeria, it will be as rotten as you running to page 2. That is how you will be running until you close the book. But I agree at the same time that the APC government have come in such a time that people forget about a lot of things. Yes, you will talk about the dollar rates and exchanges. I am a politician that call a spade, I draw the line. I agree the APC government, in particularly the first tenure of Mr. President, have no sound economic team, because I cannot see a trained economics in the economic team of Mr. President that have added adverse problem to the Nigerian economy. But can any government come like the way Buhari come and make the economy like it is and handle it more better than the way it is? In my relative understanding, no. Because how much was the crude oil prior to the coming of APC government? How has the past government able to access money as a result of sale of crude oil vis-a-vis the coming of President Muhammad, the APC government? The crude oil was over 100 or 120 up to 140 per barrel prior to the coming of the APC administration. Compare it with the decline, the fast decline in the price of crude oil, and Nigeria being a country that is absolutely dependent on the oil sector. Now, something that was sold up to 140 to 150 per barrel, it is now 20, 21, 22 per barrel. You don't expect that government to do miracle and perform. And its economy, you don't expect, to be fair to the government. You wouldn't expect a government that was in place with over $100 per barrel of crude oil and a government that is in place with less than $25 per barrel of crude oil. They are two different things entirely. So I don't expect the infrastructural function of the past government to be the same with the function of the present government. There must be wide disparity. And in that case, I will say the APC government have succeeded to have managed the price of crude oil at 20 US per barrel and to perform the way it has performed. The APC government have done incredibly very well. I wouldn't say they have failed, but again, if you ask me, I will mention areas for you like I have mentioned in the area of economic management, that there is a wide deficiency gap between the team that was put in place by Mr. President to handle this country's economy. I say that anywhere, I say it the way it is. Then on the issue of 2023 and Igbo's presidency, I'm a politician. Assuming Nigeria zone presidency to the Igbos, and a Yoruba man decide to contest against the Igbo, we are in democracy, not militocracy. Even with the zoning, then the people of Nigeria decide to vote for the Yoruba man. Will you say that the Yoruba man should not be sworn in on the basis of democracy, on the basis of government of the people, by the people, and for the people, on the basis of scoring high number of votes, and the Igbo man should be sworn in? No. Democracy is about the people. I don't believe that presidency must be zoned to you before you become the president. Nigeria is a country, we are doing politics, campaign, establish the relationship that aside of zoning the presidency to you, it is one thing, but the other thing is convincing the people to actualize that zoning by winning election. So it's not about zoning. It's about your capacity to convince the Nigerian people and become president, whether Igbo, Hausa, or Yoruba. That has always been my stand. I won election in Plateau. In 3 local government, Panshinkanke Kanam Federal Constituency. I have only 1 local government that is 90% Muslim controlled. I am a Muslim. I have been a deputy speaker in Plateau State. And I won election in a constituency where you have 78% Christian control. I contested election with a Christian, but the same Christian voted for me. So it's about the person. It's not about the region. It's not about the ethnic group. It's not about the religion. It's about the person's character and his relationship with the people that he is seeking for an election from him. I believe there will be a time in this country that whether you are Igbo, Yoruba, Nigeria will not be interested about your ethnic representation, but the quality of what you have to deliver for the people of this country. That is what matters. About restructuring, yes, some people are advocating for restructuring. I am from Plateau State. I am someone that is never scared. If you want to say Plateau should be a country on its own, I will not be bothered about what other countries have in terms of natural resources. I will be bothered about what Plateau have in terms of its natural resources and human capacity to develop Plateau as a country. So restructuring or no restructuring, I hold a unique view. It may sound immodest, it may sound controversial, but as a citizen of this country, that's my view. It's about good governance. It's about quality of leaders we elect. The problem of this country is not restructuring. The problem of this country is not whether we want Odudua, whether we want Biafra, whether you want North, that is not the problem. Bring leaders that will add value to the people of this country. This country will live in peace. Nobody will be talking about division or restructuring. So we should be looking at the people will put in the position of leadership instead of all the isms that seems to divide us instead of uniting us. Lopsiding appointment, any government that is put in place. That's your first question. There is no government that will be put in place that you will do appointment that people will not complain. As some people are complaining of Buhari lopsiding appointment, other people are justifying the lopsidedness with the past administration that this is what happened in the past. But 2 wrongs never make right. 2 wrongs never make right. If the appointment of Mr. President is geared toward good governance, it's geared toward improving the welfare of the people of this country, I don't have problem with that. I am a cosmopolitan politician. You may not get me in that kind of thinking. I believe in one Nigeria. I believe in unity of this country. I believe religion is between me and God. It has nothing to do with whether you are Christian or I'm a Muslim. Somebody, maybe in the front row of the church or the mosque, but he will die and go to hellfire because he followed people, women in the mosque and in the church. He eat mosque money and church money. Someone will be in the shrine drinking beer, burukutu, but he will die and go to heaven because his mind is clean. He doesn't eat everybody's money. He doesn't fuck anybody's wife. He gets it right. So please, I am quite different. My thinking is quite different from those perceptions. You may laugh, but that is what I believe in, and that is what I think is for the good of this country. Senjo got it right because of the technological advancement at that level. The heat grows small during good luck because of the technological improvement. Things keep on improving. The challenges will keep on becoming obvious. If Nigeria of today was Nigeria of Obasanjo's era, the issue of Odi massacre would have echoed more than the way it sounded at that time. But because of technological depreciation at that time, Nigerians were managed in a democracy as if it was a military regime. But the freedom and the expressions that the technological development have donated to Nigerian people, people talk, and every little deficiency of government is being echoed. I want to advise as press, we must make sure that we organize some of those criticisms. Let them be geared towards stimulating government into action, not toward antagonizing the little effort that government is doing towards changing the life of the people of this country. To the Nigerian security, what is more important is what value is he adding to the Nigerian economy? What value is Pantami adding to issue curtailing issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Every politician have his own enemy, and every politician have his own past. I could remember when Issa Pantami made comment about Boko Haram. The people sent in video insulting him and trying to declare him wanted. How can you place that? Just oppose that with his present position. The man have made statement in the past against or supporting some certain security situation which is unkindly. If that statement is true, he didn't do well at all. Then, after his appointment as a minister, he have confronted the Boko Haram about SIM card registration in such a way that the man was declared one of their major targets. I think his life have put him in a very critical position that he is neither here nor there, because if they see him, they will not leave him. So it has a great consequences in terms of to be fair, in terms of the security of this country, for a minister of digital economy to have made statement in the past that seems to undermine the present security commitment. It has a great security consequences on the security perception of this country. That I can tell you without mentioning words. But again, just oppose that equally with his commitment as the minister. What are his efforts? Has he made any compromising commitment toward those people, or he have made a commitment that those people equally see him as an enemy? That will help you to equally strike a balance in the course of that. But I have to tell you, it has consequences. His statement has great implication on the security situation of this country. Officers of Nigerian Navy, yes, in the past there was those records. And even now, I know reforms have been introduced to the Nigerian Navy. That is why, take it or leave it, the statistic of bunkering have reduced to the barest minimum. Pipeline vandalization have been reduced to the barest minimum. Piracy have been reduced to the barest minimum. Why? Because of the platform procured by federal government and donated to Navy to be able to fight those crimes within our waterways. But again, security commitment, solving security problem is a gradual process. I am investigating Navy on so many issues regarding to some of those things. But if you compare the commitment of that institution with what is happening now, you will say that they are doing basically very well. Because the most important thing is the crime of vandalization, piracy, and what have you. Is it in the increase or in the decrease? To the barest minimum, it has been decreased. That I can tell you. With Falcon Eye, where every platform that is passing within our waterways, Navy can watch it in their own offices. Not one, not two, not 10 officers. It is very difficult for them to be engaged. If one compromise, the other person controlling the screen of the Falcon Eye will not compromise that. That is what reduces those crimes within our waterways to the barest minimum. Autonomy of state legislature and the National Assembly. For the National Assembly, I don't know. If it is the issue of releases, all ministries face problem of releases of government funds. It's always a problem. That is for the National Assembly. I know there is an autonomy, but you cannot share the money that is not being released to you until and if there is a delay in the sharing of the federation account allocation money, it doesn't amount to non-autonomy. That is a delay. You call it delay. It doesn't mean that the National Assembly doesn't have autonomy. Protest is legislative aid. Their payment did not commence at the beginning of the tenure of their bosses. So they need those outstanding to be paid to them. That I know. But I don't think I have had any National Assembly officer complaining that his salary was changed for non-payment. I'm not aware of that. So there is a difference between the legislative aid of National Assembly members not being paid from the beginning of the tenure of the National Assembly, but is being paid at a particular level. They are protesting for that payment to be met. So there are two different things. State legislator, yes, they mess themselves up until and unless you give them those autonomy. When you allow governors, when you allow speakers to run to state governors with cap in hand, begging for peanut to travel for conferences, seminars, you don't expect democracy to function at the state level until and unless you grant them financial strength. They can fuel their vehicles. They can renovate their offices. They can do something that they need to do to function. But by the time you suffocate them to whatever the state governor gives them, that is the problem. But the question is, are the state parliament, particularly speakers, willing to confront their governors to be able to ensure that the financial autonomy granted to them is implemented. You want to survive as a speaker. The more you start confronting the governor, the more he looks for your replacement. So I think there must be a collective sacrifice on the part of presiding officers of the state through the conference of state presiding officers, conference of speakers, to be able to be unanimous. To be able to be unanimous and equally ensure the process of removing a state legislator speaker is amended in the constitution and put together in the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Take it or leave it. 1 or 2 states may have the capacity to confront their governors, but out of 36 states, 30 will not be able to look at their governors in their faces and say, give us what belongs to them. If autonomy will be started for state legislature will be implemented single-handedly by the federal government, I agree there will be autonomy. Otherwise, forget about it. Thank you and God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much. Please,